So in life, we find ourselves working in different ways and cultures and adapting and even understanding things a little bit better. And one of the things that really has stood out to me is this whole Jesus concept. And it's something that I'm really exploring further because from my own experience and research, and even just like full on what I've learned just from experiencing life, Christianity has been a very diverse form of religion to work within. Now, that doesn't make every part of Christianity spiritual, and it doesn't make every part of the right hand path spiritual. But if you can get yourself into a multifaceted way with spirituality, you can work within any religion, especially if you believe in what you are doing and you know what you are doing to be true for yourself. And this could include like Buddhism and like the green spiritualities, the freer side of life with this deeper understanding. And what's cool about this is that you can really adjust it according to your own values while also integrating values and working within those values of others that you vibe with. And so we've always came back to building a spiritual community, and we're exploring that more. And as I was adding to my calendar for the week, for life, and going through the calendar and seeing what I actually like, that's a part of a New Year's reflecting back that I will do halfway through the year to reflect forward. And I've also been recommended to do that by people who are really, having life in their calendar. You see what you like from your calendar and you want to know if you want to re-add that into your life, duplicating it into the future schedule and actually going and doing it, or if it's something you don't like and you want to never add it again or delete any upcoming events that you don't want to do. And one of those things, there's been some vibes we've explored with multiple churches, including Judaism and Christianity vibes and things, and growing up, it's really interesting because we've seen like even LGBT people go into church and not be judged and actually be able to be multifaceted within their life and their spirituality. And you're there to fellowship and gather. And one show that has actually taught me quite a lot about the concepts of like Christ and kind of this love concept and everything, but also teaching the honesty of things of maybe not always liking church or maybe not always liking each other, is South Park. Like South Park has taught me a lot about this concept of like really the deeper ideas of what is evil, what is good. And I know that we shouldn't base our teachings on one thing, but South Park is very multifaceted in a lot of these ways. And it's really cool to understand that. And even some of the teachings, if you're working more in a spiritual vibe, like I'm very much more in favor of spirituality than religion, but I will work within religion in order to network and support others, and also concerning my own self, because especially in the very beginning, we needed support in our way. And I've seen a lot of you go through your own journey with deciding that college is for you. And so I'm not going to sit there and judge that for you if I've decided that maybe some church networking every week is for us, or some spirituality with like in-person and virtual vibes in many different environments, including church, including temples, including yoga, including like at-home mindfulness, including praying for yourself and what that looks like is for you. So you'll want to find places that really support you and work with you in getting there. Whether that is, for you, that vibe might be college. For you, that vibe might be work. For you, you're working at a factory or a store or an office. But whatever, like for us, getting out there and being active in these things helps us to be a lot more business oriented, helps us to be more in nature in our animalistic forms. And I don't think it's necessarily healthy to hate on these things, but I do think it's necessary to be skeptical when you're not allowed to question, when you're falling asleep, when you're being judged harshly, and be allowed to go to multiple churches, stop going to some, continue others. That's kind of how we do things. We are just very spiritual. We go to different branches of Christianity or different branches of spirituality entirely. We integrate those different, the right and the left and the paths, because, same with politics. We're very much more in the center in politics, right and left. And we see the beauty and the drawbacks of both in politics and religion, because we know that choosing one thing is never going to be the healthy option. So as part of life design, maybe think about these things and understand these things in your own life. And when you want to judge somebody for doing something and making something work as a form of activity, maybe understand and look at your own activity. And one of the reasons why I knew that maybe we didn't vibe with some people and we vibed with other people is because they understood this and didn't judge us for it. Other people, I sort of you can tell when you're being secretly judged, or when people don't feel like they can be themselves fully anymore because you're doing something that doesn't align with their values. And they can voice disagreements, but it's not changing what you're doing. And we've done this as well. And that's when you know that maybe those people are they might not be terrible. We've had worse relationships in family than we have in friends and all of that. And some of the friends we've had in the past we've all went our separate ways. We could probably come to an understanding more so than family relationships who was expected and supposed to be family who didn't work out. But at the same time, what I've noticed about this is the fact that in a lot of other ways, there's just preferences sometimes, and you have these different directions, and you kind of tend to be a lot more separate with others because you just decided that you have different understandings of your experience. And if you have not been experiencing life, you're just not going to. Or maybe you've experienced parts of time or life, but not the full picture. And the spirituality, you're never going to get a full, multifaceted picture. But what I can say is I just love going and exploring spirituality through art and being in person with that, through spiritual places and being in person with that, but never to say that I'm religious or that it's only in the lens of Christianity or only in the lens of Buddha, because honestly, all those things can really combine. Humanitarianism and, open-mindedness with, discernment as to, for you, what is not right, but then what is for somebody else. And knowing that heaven and hell is not exactly what you were taught. And it's more about, being active out there and really working within the framework and networking within the framework and supporting and being supported. And so, in different cultures, we have different things, and maybe we have subcultures within these cultures in our family where maybe you have to, I love this quote from Gary Vee, and it really made me understand this. You have to really eat the glass. And I really took this quote and put it into my own music because it really makes a lot of sense. You have to eat the glass of what comes along with your life, with your business, with your culture. And part of that is going to be you're taking on spirituality with all its many layers. For us anyway. That's how we're kind of moving through life and working through life and understanding things. And then, and kind of being in fellowship with others in that way. And then it's something that I feel like we would never really stop being hungry to do or hungry for. And something that I feel like is within our passion, within our framework of art and everything like that. And really understanding and being open-minded to, as long as it's not done out of harm or nobody's meanly saying you're not allowed to have this viewpoint or that viewpoint, or, it's not a list of what you're you're not allowed to do and stuff like that. And there are quite a few, what I've understood is something I'm learning about, like there are parts of spirituality in church, even within the Baptist community, that are a lot more spiritual and a lot less religion. It's not the Baptist community you know of at the Lady Gaga concert. It's the Baptist community that allows LGBTQ to come in and blend, like everybody can kind of blend, and instead of being judged and whatnot and everything else. So it's kind of a very interesting thing, a framework. If you've kind of listened to this podcast a long time, or you've watched the channel a long time, you'll kind of know that we don't really pick one over everything, and we don't pick one side, and we don't rob ourselves of others. Even if we, like, there's one weekly that we've been offered to, that doesn't mean we wouldn't go to multiple other things or do other things. And I think people feel like they have to pick one thing in their life and then stick to it. And that's just a very boring way to live. You can decide that you can pick something that you're invited to, really go into that with people, appreciate that, and then realize you can also pick this other thing that is more spiritual and less religious. And you're allowed, like I've seen a lot of people out here that do yoga and meditation, but then they go to church and they're not like churchy in the way that maybe we were taught to be, or the way that we were taught church had to be. And there's always, you know, a different multifaceted way, an onion to peel, a layer. Life is complex and is meant to be active. And you're not meant to just stick to one thing for the rest of your life. So something I was just thinking about, I've been podcasting a lot more as life design is, I'm kind of creating life design and really getting deeper into it. And I'm really enjoying it. So really getting back out there and understanding people better. And it's just been nice, honestly, to say that over these last couple of years, I've developed really cool friendships that I don't want to let go of, that I appreciate a lot more because of what I had to lose to get these friendships, because of who I had to lose in order to get these friendships and these vibes with others, that, where we vibe and we respect each other and understand each other more and everything. And maybe it's just more about the same interests and not necessarily about this podcast, because this is something I'm doing for myself personally. My husband and I integrate together and as a family, but then we have our own things, that our own interests with other people outside of just this, that helps us vibe better with them, and we're not reliant on this podcast, or one specific location where everybody is expected to go only. That was another part of relationship that really ruined our relationship, was when we were expected to go to this one thing or these couple of things, and then we were expecting them to go to this one thing or these couple of things. And that was the only way to make relationships work, when if you're only sharing one interest with people in a tribe or in your vibe, where you're kind of tribing up together or forming chosen community, chosen family, one interest that you're sharing with someone is not really going to sustain you. It's got to be, you guys you happen to have the same needs in survival. You happen to have the same things in common in a life setup, or you happen to have a respect of admiring each other more, and then wanting to work together specifically because you agree with, you may not have to agree with everything, but you agree with a lot of the ways in which you conduct yourselves in spirituality and going out. There's no games, there's no funny business, and there's no sort of lack of communication in this setting. And people are not avoiding each other or hiding away and trying to get each other to do things or talk each other into things. That's one thing that has been the worst in relationships, when I've talked people into things that they really didn't want to do, or they've talked me into things I really didn't want to do. That's like the worst thing. And that's why it's important to find spiritual community, art community, even if you're going to paint with somebody at a library, right? that's a spiritual experience. It may not be church the way that you would see it, but it is a spiritual experience for the way that I see it, the way that we integrate, the way that we are. And so, but then it also could include some of those things that are more open-minded, if they're more open-minded. My criteria, they've got to be open-minded, and we all got to work together in making it happen each time. And then it's got to be more of an open-minded experience. And it can't be the older style of spirituality where everybody's judgy. It's got to be a little more understanding and a lot more open-minded to the possibilities and to exploring into what's out there, and just more compassionate. So I've been on the extreme atheistic side of relationships where there was that being pushed, there was extreme Buddhism being pushed, and there was definitely extreme Christianity that's everywhere. And extreme anything is not ever good. It's all got to be in a balance, working together. And so that's what makes life multifaceted and really fun to live in a more variety way of living. And that's what, you don't want to be religious. You don't want to be corporate. You want to have a good variety of work that is enriching in your life. You want to have a good variety of spirituality that is fulfilling in your life. You never want to be one or the other. So that's just kind of my little thing. I don't know how many more episodes. I've been making a lot of episodes this weekend because I'm fitting everything in before my life gets a little bit busier, to be honest with you. All my topics I wanted to fit in. And that's kind of what's happening here. So I really do appreciate you being here and understanding kind of where we are in this life and everything else. So take care of yourself, take care of your life, take care of each other. And this is where we're at in the updates. So stay connected within what feels true and what is working and what is realistic that is worth doing for you. It's not necessarily always just as simple as what works for you or what's true for you. It's what is worth it for you. So thanks again for being here.